All right, good morning, everyone. It is 7 a.m. on this Monday morning. I am Alex Fisher alongside Ginny Ha and Kevin Charette. Monday morning for a lot of people, it is spring break, including our very own Maddie Jansen, who's going to be off this week. We got you filling in for a couple days.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me.
She always gets up around 3:30, 3:45.
Anyway, right?
That's when I go to bed. What do you mean? I woke up at 2:30 this morning with the loud groan. I'm kidding. I'm happy to be here.
Are you, though?
I am.
It's okay. You can tell us the truth.
No, the show went very well. We got to watch Blue Origin, the launch and landing in real time.
Yep.
It was very exciting.
On pins and needles.
Can we take, Adam, can we take a live look at that? Because I know that they're wrapping up, obviously. They've been on the ground for probably 15, 20 minutes now, I think, at this point. So they launched right at 6:30. Right on at 6:30 on the dot. It was a 10-minute trip.
10-minute that felt like forever.
Up and down. Okay, so it looks like right now that they're just doing interviews.
And this is Jeff Bezos' wife.
Yeah.
Lauren Sanchez,
so let's take a listen into this.
Lauren Sanchez, already adding to your extensive resume, you are an astronaut. Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm very excited. I'm excited to share it with the world, and I'm so grateful to everyone here.
I love you. Go be with your family. But
to process and download what just happened to me.
Well, get on in here, Amanda. Someone that can now articulate exactly how Lauren is feeling. Lauren being so candid about overcome with emotion. How are you feeling? I know, Amanda, this has been a dream of yours, a long-awaited dream, and now it is finally official. You are an astronaut. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. You know, I usually have nice words to say, but in this moment, I just want all survivors to know that you can heal. No dream is too wild, and that if it's so wild out there, like going to space, you can absolutely make it through, and it can absolutely be possible.
You mentioned to us prior to going up, you said that you needed to go to space to heal. I know you're only a few minutes removed from this incredible experience. Do you feel healed?
You know, I had a zero-G indicator that I didn't know if I would bring, and I ended up bringing it.
Okay. And explain for the folks at home that don't know what that means, what it is that you're holding.
Yes, the zero-G indicator is something all astronauts have that floats once you hit space, lets you know you're there. I brought a promise that I wrote to myself. I've talked about that.
And share for what is this right here?
Yes, and this one I didn't know if I would bring, but I ended up bringing it and floating it, and it's the hospital band from the day. And, I got to honor her today, and I'm so grateful to the thousands of people, the engineers, the scientists, just everyone who has made this a reality.
And you also have written here, I know that you had this on your laptop, right?
Yes, that's right. And this is my zero-G indicator, a promise I made to myself that if I were to pause my astronaut dreams and fight for rights, that one day I would return to her.
And it says, never, never give up. Well, those dreams are no longer on hold.
Yeah.
You are finally an astronaut. Congratulations. Enjoy this moment with your family, and thank you for sharing it with us. Thank you, Amanda. Carrie Ann, you said
All right,
to me
so you were
yesterday,
listening to some of the now astronauts being interviewed by one of the reporters with Blue Origin. And so the story that you just heard, of course, is one of the big stories that's out there right now.
That was civil rights activist Amanda Nguyen that you guys just heard from right before. And I've been following her journey for years. She actually, as an Asian American rights activist, she became very well known in the field at a time when kind of anti-Asian hate was spreading during the COVID-19 pandemic. But her story, to sum it up, essentially is she was scheduled to become an astronaut years ago, and she was sexually assaulted, and that obviously, you know, it interfered with her plans. And as she said, it took her years to heal. She's still healing, but that's been her whole story. She's been an activist for survivors, and again, also the Asian community ever since then. And so she's someone that I've looked up to and admired for such a long time. And I think it's so amazing that she finally got to achieve her dream of being an astronaut.
So you just heard the zero-G indicator.
Yeah.
Was the hospital band that she had when she, of course, after she was sexually assaulted. Talk about an incredible story. I mean, it kind of makes you choke up a little bit because we all know that. I mean, you hear survivor stories like that, and you of course you just see how resilient these people are, and so it is incredible to see how she has been able to do this, and you just heard her say that she brought the survivor with her to that mission, and so just a really neat mission. So yeah, successful. Obviously went up at 6:30, came down at 6:40. And they are out, and we'll have more on this throughout the day. We'll have probably more coming up today on 17 News at 5.
Yeah.
So
I'm sure we'll hear from Gayle King. Katy Perry kissed the ground when she got out.
As did Gayle King.
Oh, right? Did Gayle do it too?
Gayle too. Gayle as well. So.
I don't blame him.
Yeah. So, anyways, all right. Let's talk about this weekend. It was a beautiful weekend, Kev.
Yeah,
obviously, we're a little above average for this time of year. You keep saying, but
kind of up and down.
Kind of up and down.
Yeah.
Near 90 today, and then back down into the 60s as we approach this next system that's going to come in Thursday, Friday. It's not going to bring much rain, but there is a chance Thursday, Friday, then we'll clear things out by Easter Sunday. So Easter Sunday, if you are going to be maybe having family over, setting up the tables in the backyard, that sort of thing, maybe you have a big family, no issues at all. Should be a great Easter Sunday ahead.
No, that's great.
Yeah.
All right. I want to talk about something that's I don't know if you've heard about this. It's all over social media, and it is a diet. It's a trend that is out there. Bear with me here. All right, we're going to explain this, and I'm curious to see if you've seen this on social media. Okay. So it actually was a diet that originated in a book from 1962, Sex and the Single Girl, and then it was later printed in Vogue.
Okay.
And it's having this moment online. So you ready? It's called the Wine and Eggs Diet.
What?
And you're supposed to, you can lose like 5 pounds after like 3 days.
Okay.
So breakfast is 1 hard-boiled egg and a glass of wine, white wine, and a black coffee. Then lunch, it's 2 eggs, 2 glasses of white wine, and a black coffee. And then dinner is a 5-ounce steak, remainder of the bottle of wine, and then another black coffee.
Wait, but how does this work if you're working? If I came into work after having, after drinking a glass of white wine and then for lunch as part of my meal prep.
So you will have consumed a bottle of white wine. Yes, at the end of the day.
I don't know how. I'd love to get a doctor's perspective of this, just because that's a lot of alcohol.
So of course, it's spread throughout the day, but still. And this is, you're supposed to do this for 3 days.
Oh, just 3 days.
3 days,
okay.
And then it helps with like losing, kind of that excess. Because I mean, this is not a
detox.
So this is over 3 days, and you're supposed to lose like about 5 pounds. So if you wanted like if you knew something was coming up next week or something like that, you're like you could stay focused. My thing is like I want to be careful because at surface level, I don't like diets. I don't like diets.
I don't either.
I like, for me, I like sticking to a healthy, I'll do a whole, like, if, like after a weekend of eating out, sometimes it's like fried food, or like during the holidays. Like after the holidays, I don't go on a diet per se, but I'm very conscious about making sure that I'm eating whole foods and kind of like, kind of doing a detox.
Yeah.
Sort of thing.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I don't know if I like that diet. I don't know if I would have really, I'm not a dietitian, I'm not a doctor. It just does not seem healthy to me. You think of the eggs, high in cholesterol. I know it's
high in protein though. High in protein, which does help with protein, of course, helps with aids in weight loss.
Yeah. Then you've got the red meat aspect. Which Dr. Patel at CBCC would tell you, limit the red meat intake.
But he talks about how it needs to, and this is important too. The red meat. The problem with red meat is that, as he's always said, it's all the processed red meat.
Right.
That you got to be careful. If it is grass-fed, organic red meat, it's actually okay, especially if you're only going to be eating 5 ounces of red meat a day for 3 days.
I say in moderation.
In moderation, but see, that's the other thing too. The whole reason why we go on all these diets all the time is because our normal day-to-day diet is just overconsumption.
Yeah, it's hard to be mindful.
Leaving every meal stuffed, feeling like your stomach is hurting. And you've talked about before, Kev. I remember one time this was even recently. You said, "Oh, I went to a restaurant and I noticed that the meal that I always get, it was just a little like the portions. You know, the price of course was the same, but the portion size was smaller." And then I realized, you know what? I probably don't need to be eating all of this anyway.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, obviously you're paying the same,
Our
but
portion sizes are
they're massive.
way too big in the United States. But yeah, I don't know. Our director Adam wants to know, what about the black coffee for dinner?
So I would be up
all night.
I would be up all night. So
I wish I had a phone a friend. I wish I had a doctor friend that I could just call right now and say, hey bud, I'm giving you this.
What do you think of
Can you do decaf, or does it just not work the same then?
Ooh.
Right.
The what?
Isn't that a fair? Can't you do decaf?
Well, so you could, but does the caffeine help? Because there's the heat, you know, like it, you know, when your heart is racing, you know, that's why sometimes, you know, like workout pump, pre-workout, that can help aid in the weight loss because it's you're sweating more, you're getting your heart rate up.
Right.
But that is interesting. So there you go. If you want the sex and the single girl diet, it's 3 days.
I do hope people
you lose 5 pounds allegedly.
I mean, everyone's trying to cut nowadays, though. Like it's right before summer, right? Everyone wants that summer body, whatever you define it as. So everyone is telling you they're trying to cut. So whatever method you take, however you decide to go about that cut, like you were saying, Kev, I hope people do it in a healthy manner.
Yeah. Also, consult with your doctor, please.
Yeah,
do
what
doctor.
works for you. Yeah. But just stay healthy.
Just because it's out there doesn't mean it's...
Well, there's all those fads.
Right.
You know, the juice cleanse, there's this, there's that, there's this and that.
Oh, yeah. There's
like
all these diet things out there.
Yeah, just we are not doctors.
We are not doctors. We're not telling you to get on the diet.
We are not telling you to do it or not do it. We are just simply saying it is out there. Converse with your friends about it.
Yeah.
But I'm also looking to see how much this would cost. I mean, it wouldn't cost much.
Well, eggs are kind of expensive right now.
Yeah, but if you think about it, they are. But you would only need 3 eggs, so
9.
So you would need a dozen eggs
right.
for this 3 days.
$10 right there.
So so $10. No, seriously, like we'll say between like $8 and $10.
$10, probably the steak, probably another.
The white wine you could probably do for like $20, but you would need 3 bottles, so there's $60 right there because you would need.
You'd probably get a cheaper bottle.
Probably like 15. Yeah, if you wanted to enjoy it. Black coffee, I mean that's cheap. It depends on you could get So
think.
And then the steak.
Like a $50 diet. Let's just say that. Right around there.
You can do it under $100.
Yeah, under $100.
So that would be like about be still more than $30 a day.
Yeah.
So it's actually, you know what? That's more expensive than I thought. It's the wine. It's the bottle of wine a day that will get you. That's what's gonna. Obviously that's gonna be the most expensive part of it. And then of course eggs are expensive too. But yeah, there you go. All right. So that's how much it could cost. Because you'd spend between probably $50 and $60 on the cheaper end on just wine.
Yeah. Or to solve this, you could just go for a run, a walk, get on the treadmill, and have a salad for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
But you're not going to lose 5 pounds in 3 days.
You might.
You'd have to go extreme. Yeah, no, but that's also the healthier way to do it, probably. Again, that's from a non-medical perspective.
Or you could just be happy with you.
You know what happened when I got norovirus last month?
Oh,
I lost 10 pounds of water weight.
That's just all liquid.
It's just
you were dehydrated.
Yeah, and so, of course, when I gained it back just like that, the second I started drinking water again.
Yeah.
And Pedialyte.
I lose at least a pound or 2 just going on honor flight.
Why?
That is late.
Because
it's a lot of
work. We're on our feet, just go.
You know what? So it's funny that you say that because, but I do want to talk more about honor flight in just a second. But when I lived in Germany, and it's Germany, right? It's the European lifestyle. Lots of carbs, especially in Germany. Lots of carbs, lots of beer, but you're walking everywhere. All of those carbs were essential to do your day-to-day activities. You walked to the store. You took your grocery bags and you hauled back up the hill to, you walk to work, you walk to school, you walk everywhere. And so you're easily, on a kind of just like a casual slow day, you're hitting 10,000 steps, but you're walking everywhere. And I know in the East Coast, they have, and a lot of big cities do tend to have more walkers.
Oh yeah.
But like in DC, and they walk everywhere. Obviously,
they don't want to deal with they don't want to deal with the traffic.
Yeah.
More commute, more bike riding.
Now,
a lot of that.
Everything's right there. You know,
Yeah,
for the most part.
It is
for the
more
most part,
walkable,
but
yeah.
it's more walkable. But yeah. So yeah, and that's just a couple of days in DC. Okay, so let's talk about your trip. How was it?
Good. You know, it's always a whirlwind trip. You know,
Yeah.
it's everybody says it's like a vacation. Not really. I mean, it's fast. It's quick. We're cramming so much into 2 days for these veterans. But on the flip side, so rewarding at the same time. And we fly out on a Tuesday, at least we did this time. We got into DC right around 6. We go straight to the hotel, unload, and really things start that next day. Everybody's in the getting breakfast by 5:30.
Oh, really? It starts that early?
Oh, yeah. Breakfast starts at 5:30.
Wow. So
We're on the bus.
And so to put that in perspective, that's 2:30 our time on the West Coast. Just,
Yes. And so we're on the bus by 7.
Wow.
And then we're hitting, like, just in that first day, on that Wednesday, we started at World War II. We actually had one World War II veteran on this flight, Mr. Billy Burke.
Also, your interview with him was phenomenal. He looks phenomenal.
Oh.
He looks fantastic.
Yeah.
You know, Billy was in a wheelchair most of the time we went to all the sites, but you can't get in a bus on a wheelchair. And Billy, get up. These veterans, the amount of stairs they climbed in this trip, getting off and on the bus. Billy Burke was one of them. He's 100 years old.
Wow.
So that was our only World War II veteran. Then we went after, after World War II, we walked over to the Korean War Memorial. Alex has been to DC. I'm not sure if you've seen that one.
Oh, yeah.
But that one is so incredible because
It is.
the bronze statues are nestled in the weeds. So it gives you that perspective of what it was like back then, kind of eerie. And then after Korean...
By the way, that one is really neat to see at night.
Oh, yeah.
Because they have, and you know,
Lights.
you have to wait, like, and I'm talking like not sunset, like the sun is down, it's the sky is black.
Yeah.
But they have a single small light on each of those
Statues.
and it just, you know, I mean, it's
silhouette.
kind of off to the side.
Yeah, as you're coming down, it's right off the left-hand
So
side.
it does. I mean, it kind of puts
Eerie.
you there.
Yeah. So then we did Korean, and then after the Korean, we headed over to the Vietnam Memorial. And I have to say, out of all these trips, and somebody asked me on the trip, how many trips have you had? I had to think about it, and I was uploading videos this weekend for Honor Flight, and this was my 5th trip.
Wow.
Fifth trip.
My
Okay,
fifth
you thought
trip.
it was like the 3rd or 4th.
I thought it was my 4th, but I started with 47. So 47, 48, 49, 50, and this was 51. And I would have to say on every trip, it's always the Vietnam Memorial that hits everybody so hard, even those that aren't veterans, because you start to hear their stories. And I would say for almost all of them, being able to go to that Vietnam Wall is closure for so many of them. So many of these veterans that come on these flights lost friends, lost family, and they're inscribing their names on the wall. And, you know, in a way, I tell them before I even enter them, I feel so bad even talking to you about this, but every single one of them tell me, no, it's okay. This is healing for me. So I'm going to get emotional, and some of them are afraid to show that emotion, and their guardian's like, no, let it out, let it out. And I think it's important for people to, at home, to see that raw emotion.
Especially for Vietnam vets.
Yeah, especially the Vietnam vets, because that raw emotion, you know, for a lot of these Vietnam vets, when they returned home, and this is the thing I hear every single time I interview them, is they were spit on. Their backs were turned on them. And to walk down and see that wall and see this younger generation, or even others, doesn't just mean younger, come up and shake their hand and say thank you. Immediately when they get that thank you for your service, they break down.
Because
they
for some
never
of them,
got that.
For some of them, that's the first time they've heard
First time they've ever seen that.
Decades later, that's the first time they're hearing
And
it.
I will have to say that young man that was in my story, he was from Michigan. I have to send the teacher the video today. But he was so articulate and spent that time with that veteran that I just had interviewed previously. And that bond, you could just see it. And it just meant so much to see somebody 13 years old understanding what this veteran had done for him and our country.
I mean, you do stories like that for us all the time. Every time you go on these flights, you do live shots for us, right? You try to give us the sights and sounds as much as you can. But I'm just curious, when you're out there interacting with the veterans and you're actually there with them, is there something you wish you could highlight more or underscore more, something you really wish viewers could see for themselves or experience for themselves?
Because you're with them the whole trip.
Yeah, I'm with them the whole time. I wish I could get more interviews with these veterans, but because we're only allotted a certain amount of time at each one of these memorials, so getting those interviews, I only have a certain amount of time. But I think in the pieces that you've seen, I've been able to luckily illustrate their feelings. And unlike a normal reporter package, some people ask me, you never narrate these things, Kevin. And I say, because you don't need me to narrate. You don't need to hear my voice to understand what they're seeing and what they're going through. That's why I let the music tell the story and let their voices kind of tell the overall story of their trip. And then the live portion of it, that was so instrumental for me when I started this on Honor Flight 47, because family members would love to go with their veterans, but family members aren't allowed to go with them. And so to give them that attachment with their veteran, the live coverage means so much to these families. And that's when I return, that's the one thing I do get. And I kind of put my head down, because it's not about me as I walk through that tunnel, but I hear, as I'm scurrying through, thank you for that coverage. We got to see, our veteran, so that's why I do.
Also, when you go live, and when we, on the morning show, when we check in with you every 30 minutes, it really does illustrate the whirlwind trip.
Oh, yes.
Because you're in a different location every time, we go to you. I want to go back to the Vietnam Vet Memorial, because it is, when you're there, it is very, obviously every monument in memorial in D.C. is, there's all the symbolism, right? That's the whole reason. It is a piece of art. The reason why the Vietnam Memorial, though, is so impressive to me is there's a lot of symbolism there. It is off the National Mall, just a little bit. Just a little bit.
Few yards from the Lincoln Memorial.
Yeah, from the Lincoln Memorial, just off just a little bit. It is technically underground.
Yes.
You go down, and it is black when everything else is white. In this granite stone, beautiful, everything. And it symbolizes the dark time that this war, how it tainted our American history. And how the World War II, for example, the World War II Memorial, which is absolutely beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. It is above ground. It is stone, granite. it is just gorgeous. But you don't have the names of the veterans there.
You have stars that
indicate the loss. And I'm not. Of course, there was an immense amount of loss and pain. I'm not trying to negate that. But the Vietnam Memorial, though, is a different type of memorial, because it's trying to illustrate more than just it's trying to illustrate the pain, the dark spot on our American history with the Vietnam War, and I think it helps the vets as well.
Yeah, and this was a very important
that we're acknowledging that this was a dark time in our history.
Right, and this is a very important month for these Vietnam vets, because this is the anniversary of the end of the Vietnam War.
Right. Was it 50 years?
Yes,
yeah.
And it came in waves, in terms of our involvement in our pullout. But when you look at that wall, you're looking at 58,000 names on a wall. 58,000 people is what we lost in the Vietnam War. So I think this trip was even more emotional for some of these Vietnam vets because of this anniversary.
Yeah.
What is when is the next flight? Have they scheduled one?
October. Yep.
Are you going again?
We'll see. Based on the schedule.
Yeah.
I think that's a ways away.
That's a ways away. I would assume that I would be going on that one.
You can plan around it, so you're going for sure.
Yes. They would probably be really sad if I said I wasn't going. But I think it's October 13th.
Okay.
It's in October.
Okay.
We'll have another set of veterans, and what's nice for these veterans too is it's a chartered flight. So the charter and Allegiant flight. And let me just say, if you're watching right now, Kirkland County, donate to Honor Flight, because these trips are not cheap.
What did you say, like $2,000 a vet?
Yeah, do the math. So how much do you think this Honor Flight cost us about?
Total?
Well, it's 2,000 times 100. Well, so yeah, that's. There you go.
And it's not a joke when they say 2,000. It's not an estimate. This trip cost Honor Flight about $300,000.
Yeah.
Charter the flight, food, everything, about $300,000.
Right. Yeah.
That's a lot of money. So that's why it's so important that Kern County donates to Honor Flight so that we can continue on this mission.
You know what I love though too is even if you can't donate, one of the things that I think
sign up as a guardian.
You can sign up as a guardian.
Yes, they're always looking for guardians.
Yeah, you can sign up as a guardian. But one of the other things that I love though is the homecoming, and you know, time and time again you see those. I can't even imagine the vets. They're tired. They've just had this whirlwind trip. And
huge crowd.
And then they walk, you know, after this flight, they walk into this humongous crowd of people saying thank you, holding their signs, the American flags, and so forth.
But they get a little taste of this on the flight coming home. So every time, and it's no secret, every time we come home, there's something on the flight. It's called, because when you're serving in a conflict, you get mail call. So letters from home.
Right.
And so when they're on the flight and they're tired, all of a sudden, halfway through the flight, the team leader gets on the intercom, like the steward, like the flight attendants would, and say, "This is your time. This is mail call." And they call every single veteran's name out, and their guardian has hidden in their bag an envelope. And these envelopes, not just one letter, filled with letters from school kids, from adults around Kern County. And they, for the rest of the flight, for the first hour, 2 hours, they're reading all these. Tears are coming down their faces just to see, thank you, veteran, from a third grader, from a sixth grader. So then that happens, and then once they come down that tunnel, I couldn't imagine what it's like for a veteran to come through that tunnel. I know when I come through that tunnel, it's
overwhelming.
It's overwhelming even for me to see this many people lined up with the American flags and thank you for your service. You know, for me, I get chills. I couldn't imagine as a veteran to see that. Meadows Field packed. And let me just say, Meadows Field, every single trip gets bigger and bigger and bigger in terms of the sport coming out. And this time, we were supposed to land at 6:30 at night. These people, if they didn't get the message, as we were trying to update our flight, if they didn't get that message that we're going to be late, they waited there from 6:30 to 8:30 when we came in.
A 2-hour delay.
Not a person left Meadows Field. They waited for those veterans. Yep.
That's really cool.
You can tell I get excited. It's
rightfully
I'd be
so.
so passionate about
We
this
get
thing.
excited too watching it, and obviously we appreciate the way that you're able to encompass what you see and what you experience and bring it back.
It's because this station believes in that stuff. This station allows me to do that, and technology allows me to do that. So.
You know, and again, it is also, we talk about like Honor Flight, and I mean, find me someone who doesn't support Honor Flight, you know, but again, the context, when you go over there, you're starting to see the context of this flight, right? On the what it means to these veterans and why it is so important. And it's not just a theory, like, oh, let's send our vets over to see the memorials built in their honor. Okay, I mean, everyone's going to get behind that. But then once you actually start to see it and you see how therapeutic it is for a lot of these vets, you all of a sudden are realizing, oh, this is so much more than just going, oh, wow, like this is great. Like I'm glad I get to see it. It's actually providing therapy for some of these vets decades after, decades later, decades too late. But at least they're getting it.
I had a veteran tell me, I said, what does this trip mean to you? He goes, I have closure in my life.
That closure.
Closure in my life. You know what I mean? One veteran said, I don't care what happens the rest of the time in this world for me. This gives me closure.
It's at peace.
Peace.
That's huge.
Peace, that is huge.
And by the way, on a flip note, I wanted to thank Alex and Maddie for covering weather while I was gone.
Of course.
And then my last day on the ground, I didn't even get a chance to ask Alex or Matt. We were in the middle of a live shot. We were at the Navy Memorial and doing a live shot. Did you see my camera just go?
Oh yeah, did a gust of wind take it off?
A gust of wind. It was a little breezy in DC, and I carry a very lightweight tripod just because I'm moving so much. And I'm interviewing my veteran, and all of a sudden I have to go back. I haven't even watched the video yet. He goes, and it goes cling. My phone, my light just falls to the ground, and I just picked it up, and we just continued on.
And it worked out. What was hilarious is the signal maintained the entire fall.
Right?
So,
and the camera
got everything.
My phone didn't break, but
there you go.
Me and the veteran were just laughing after we were all done.
All right, thanks so much for joining us for After Sunrise. We'll see you tomorrow. Take care, everyone.